So we were actually able to go to the Daytime Emmys back in 2014? Yes, 2014, because of most of the social media pushing that I did for our company. And it was a wonderful experience to be able to go there and really display our wine and really have our first very, very large event. So that all happened mainly because of all that I was doing for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all of our, social medias that we use today.
And where were the Daytime Emmys at that particular year? And did you get a chance to, were any of the soap opera stars and people and daytime talk show hosts able to learn more about Shoe Crazy at that time?
Yes, we were. It was pretty much our first debut. It was in Los Angeles. So it was amazing. Actually, at first, we thought it was a little bit of a joke because we weren't sure where we were supposed to be or where we were supposed to go because this was our first ever debut for Shoe Crazy Wine. And, us also being out of the state, we didn't really know how to react and how things were going to go about, but it ended up being very, very real. And we were giving out the bottles of wine and to a lot of the daytime celebrities on the talk shows and the soap operas. And after that, they've actually used our wine for their dinners. So we haven't actually gone back to the event itself they called it the swag bag room. So that's where you were giving all the gifts out to. But they've actually used Shoe Crazy Wine every year after that for their dinners.
And and some of those daytime stars are still our customers, which is great.
Yes.
We still have those customers. And I think Brittany doesn't give herself enough credit because she is the palate of Shoe Crazy Wine. So I'll just give you a little bit of background on how we do. I go to the vineyards and I work with the winemakers, and then we bring in samples. And Brittany's palate is the palate that kind of is the final decision on what we will bring to market. So she has a lot of input into what we do for the company. So I just wanted to give her a little shout out.
I appreciate it. And now you're based in Virginia, and where exactly is Brittany based at now? Because it says that you said Brittany's not at the same place that you are now, so she's someplace else. So where?
She's at a family reunion. She's at a family reunion, so we're not at the same location right today.
Cool. Where's the family reunion?
Yeah, we both live in Richmond, Virginia. Yeah, we both live in Richmond, Virginia, because that's where the actual office is for the company.
Oh, wow.
So,
so then next time I'm on my way home, then I need to stop by there and say hello. Petersburg is my hometown.
Really? Wow. We're right next to Petersburg.
Yes. That's home.
Yeah. Nice.
Matter of fact, Dee was just there. What was that? The week before last, or last week?
No, that was last week, and on the highway by Ladysmith, trying to change a tire, do the show, and a couple other things at the same time.
Oh man! Talk about multitasking, right? Oh man.
Yes, and I was tired, but we made it work.
Yes, good job. So that's kind of our. Yeah,
go ahead.
That's kind of our story, and that's kind of our story of Shoe Crazy, and then we've expanded out into Costco's, Kroger's. We're in multi-states now. Still in that startup mode in terms of the number of people we have with us. It's myself, my daughter, and one other person that works for the company. And then we have our distributor, like I said, Portfolio Group. Donald and James have just been gold to us in North Carolina. And we continue to expand our brand out, state by state, bit by bit.
And we actually have Donald and James with us in the studio right here, right now, too.
Well,
hello, everyone.
Hey, Donald, are you there with us?
We appreciate that, Gwen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Donald's actually... So we've got Donald and James calling in as well. So, Donald and James, how are y'all doing today?
Doing very well, Mark. How are you?
Doing great.
Doing great. So tell our listeners, I know the story, but our listeners don't necessarily know the story, as to how y'all got involved with Gwen and Shoe Crazy and how that partnership is working and some of the different projects that y'all are working on in terms of getting the event and in terms of getting the wine out and everything. Because I know that, Donald, you're known in this community. I was actually just mentioning your name to the young lady from one of our local restaurants, the young lady that moved here from Denver, and she actually is the marketing person for Paradise. So I mentioned the wine to her, and she said, hey, you need to have him get in touch with me because I just moved here and I'm ready to have a wine event like tomorrow. So I was doing a little bit of work for you, Donald. So
I'm writing as we speak.
So, yes, sir, her name is Lexi Crow. Go talk to Miss Lexi Crow.
There you go.
So she's already waiting to hear from you because we had a meeting earlier this afternoon, and I did mention the wine, and she was like, well, we need to figure out a way to carry the wine at this restaurant and to have an event. I know for a fact that me and you know each other through the wonders of radio because you've done radio for years, and you've also been a local, well-known local jazz DJ. So how did you connect with Miss Gwen, and how did this partnership happen between you and James and Gwen and her daughter?
Well, I'll start the beginning, and James can give you the deeper details. I went to an event, and I'm gonna age myself here. Probably about 4 years ago in Virginia, it was an event for Black-owned wines. It's a big tasting event, and met Gwen along with a few other wine makers, wine distributors, and 3 years later, almost Gwen, 2 years later, I make a phone call because we're looking for a wine to feature in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And Gwen says, I was looking for somebody to distribute in North Carolina. And so after a series of meetings, and the world is so small because my business partner even knows her. So it's one of those things where happenstance came together with a goal. And since then, Portfolio Group and Shoe Crazy Wines have partnered up, and good things and success is going forward with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's real interesting, Mark, that how we got together as well. Donald and I started out on the music side of things. If you recall, Donald, we were both very passionate for jazz. Him being out of Chicago and me coming out of the Detroit area, it's pretty much in our DNA. So we got together and we started the Portfolio Group LLC with the anticipation of marketing jazz in the Durham and surrounding area. It's starting to catch on, and we're going to expand that market and get our brand out there. And during that process, we went to a concert at one of the nightclubs, and there was a musician there that indicated that they had a wine business and they were trying to crack the market here in North Carolina. And Donald and I, being the entrepreneurs that we are, life started to go on and say, what might we be able to do to tap into that market? So we did our research, found out what it entailed, and we started to pursue getting our permits in North Carolina, which is no easy task. In addition to that, it continues to be a challenge in many, many ways. So long story short, we did what we needed to do to satisfy the permitting requirement, part of which were warehousing requirements. Again, not a very easy task here in North Carolina as it relates to affordable warehousing. You can get a warehouse if you got all kinds of money. Outside of that, it becomes a challenge. So, even though we incorporated Portfolio Group in 2014, it was the fourth quarter of 2015 by the time we actually got all of our ducks in a row. And that's, like Donald said, that's when we connected with Gwen. We met in Virginia. I think it was in Richmond, as a matter of fact, at a shop that carried the product. And we kind of had that initial conversation, kind of hashed out some details. We contracted later in the year, and we began distributing Shoe Crazy Wine in January of 2016.
Wow. Now, I understand, James, did you actually have a past connection to Gwen or something? I think that's what Donald was implying.
It's a really small world. After we found out that, okay, we're going to have this relationship established here, and we started chatting a little bit, and I met Brittany, and we never really knew Gwen well, but my daughter and Gwen's daughter went to high school together. I believe they even graduated in the same class, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
You know, and
We
the
also were
conversation
Girl Scouts
proceeded.
and danced together.
There you go.
Wow.
Girl Scouts and dance.
Wow.
Girl Scouts and danced together. Yep.
You know, and once we found that out, we couldn't believe it. You could have picked us all apart.
Yeah.
Well,
But
So you can imagine when I saw who it was, I couldn't call him by his first name. I had to call him Mr. House because I've known him since I was a kid. So it was a little weird for me to call him by his first name. I just couldn't do it.
So it's hilarious.
that was.
But-
I said, Brittany, this is James House. She goes, oh, Mr. House. I was like, Mr. House. That was it's small world.
It is. It's pretty
Small world.
interesting.
Incredibly small world. Now, you alluded to some of the things that you had to do when you were setting up the portfolio group and everything, but just those that are thinking about getting into either the wine business, and I know there's some people locally that also have been trying to do like the home-crafted beers as well, what are some of the headaches that folks have to find if they decide that they want to get involved in these businesses? Because there's always certain roadblocks and headaches and things that you have to be aware of. So what are some of the things that folks, if they want to go into this business either as a distributor or as a maker of the wine, that they need to be aware of before they even think about doing it?
Okay.
I'll let Gwen handle this one first.
Yeah, the wine business first. You have to have a lot of money. You have to have a lot of money. You have to have enough money to be able to sustain yourself. So that's one thing. The other is you've got to, based on whatever state you're in, there's a lot of different compliance guidelines for that state. So for the state of Virginia, you know, all the alcohol is regulated by the state. So, you know, there are guidelines that you have to have. You have to have federal permits and licenses, and then you have to have your state permits and licenses. And then like I was saying, when I started the company, you know, I bottled, you know, probably 10,000 bottles of wine between France and California. And you go with the theory of if you build it, they will come. Well, they don't. You have to take it to them, you know.
Exactly.
And the other thing, yeah, and so once you've done that, you have to decide what your business model is. I started out direct to consumer. I thought I was going to sell on the internet and I would knock, you know, the Amazon on his ear. You have rose-colored glasses on, and then the reality hits you. You have to be able to compete with these wine clubs and wine businesses, online wine businesses that can ship for free, you know, and that are buying in, you know, massive quantities. And so I, you know, like any entrepreneur should, I did an assessment and I pivoted and I said, okay, I've got to pivot. I can't make money like this. I'm bleeding money. And so I decided to sell into retail and, you know, look for a distributor and couldn't find one in Virginia. Could not find no one would pick up this product. It's a new product. It's a new brand. Nobody knows it. It competes with our top brand. And so I had to make the decision to become a distributor myself. So I became a distributor in Virginia and started knocking on doors. It's hard, tedious work. Like I said, I have my daughter with me who does, you know, a lot of the promotions when we have to stand in the store and do wine tastings, drag the trolley out to different locations. So it's three things I would say. You need to have the capital. You need to have the working capital to sustain yourself because you're going to be broke. I mean, it's a new kind of broke. It's a new kind of broke. I ain't been this broke since I was in college, you know. And so you've got to be able to hang on through those times. And then those you know, sparks that you get, like when Brittany said we got picked for the daytime Emmys. That was a coup. You know, we had been in business less than a year when that happened. So those are the ups. You know, you get those highs and you get those lows. And so I say financial, I say, you know, get your products, either own the vineyard or know who you're buying from. I got it taken advantage of because I did know the industry. So know your product, know your industry. And then the third one is hang on for dear life. I mean, hang on for dear life and try to stay in the game and continue to, you know, motivate yourself. And also meet people like, you know, Donald and James, when you want to go outside of your state. And I'll let Donald and James take it from here, from a distributor's perspective.
So, James, what were some of the headaches that you ran into in terms of becoming a distributor in North Carolina? I know that we've had this conversation before.